I see a shift happening right now in Miami. Let's call it a migration of people moving from Brickell to Coral Gables. It's not that uncommon, and let's dive into what's going on. I'm Lindley, your Coral Gables and South Miami real estate expert, here to shed some light on all things real estate in the area. All right, so let's talk about what's happening here. More and more, I've been showing homes in Coral Gables to people that are making the move from Brickell to Coral Gables. So why is this happening? Well, let's talk about why people choose Brickell in the first place. Brickell is a part of Miami that's bustling with energy. A lot of young people love to move to Brickell when they're just getting started because it's easy for them to have a job downtown, lots of jobs downtown, live in a condo, which tends to have better rent prices than other parts of Miami, but mostly they're choosing it for the lifestyle. They can live and work in the same neighborhood. They're walking to work. They're walking to the grocery store. Maybe they don't even have a car. You don't need one if you live in Brickell. It's an easy lifestyle. But then they're meeting someone. They're falling in love. They're starting a relationship. Perhaps they're getting married. And they no longer want that pace that comes with Brickell because Brickell comes with a lot of traffic. Tough to find parking. It's not really the most family-friendly place to live. It does have a lot of good energy and a lot going on. So many great restaurants are in Brickell. There's so many fun things to do. You can go over the bridge and be in downtown, to go to Bayside or go to the Heat games. It's all right there. But there comes a point in young people's lives when they say, I don't want that anymore. And a lot of them are turning to Coral Gables. Why? Because Coral Gables is an amazing place to take that next step from high energy life to let's settle down a little bit. The thing about Coral Gables is this, it's not a sleepy town. I don't want to portray it as a sleepy town. You can easily move here in your 20s and still have an amazing life. It's just a little less busy. You can live in downtown Coral Gables in one of the high rises there, or get a townhouse or a house and just start to settle down a little bit. So when does Brickell stop working? I'd say a few different times in your life where you might think, I'm not sure this is for me anymore. When you're ready to slow things down a little bit. When you're ready to reduce the noise a little bit. When you're sick and tired of living in a high rise. When you want a little more space or a little more privacy. All of these things end up in the question, should I still be living here? Most people don't just wake up one day hating Brickell. They just outgrow it. So a move south is usually what happens next. So Coral Gables often feels like the next chapter. Coral Gables has a slower pace of life. It's not as noisy. You get a little bit more space, which lends itself to a little bit more privacy. You don't have the same kind of traffic that you have in Brickell. You don't feel like you're living downtown because you're not. It's just a shift towards something a little bit more peaceful, more tranquil. Just a little shift from the hustle and bustle. And often that shift comes with letting go of the condo and moving into a home. So what does living in a home get you that's different than when you lived in the condo? You get better parking. If you have multiple people over for a dinner party and you're living on Brickell, it can be tricky for people to find a parking space or they have to take an Uber. But in Coral Gables, there's plenty more parking, which lends itself to having more guests. You can entertain more. You can have a pet without the nuisance of having to go up and down an elevator for walks. Easier to get outside. Honestly, you get more storage. If you're moving into a home, you have more space and more ways to spread out. And then I think it just changes the morning routine. You know, you wake up in the morning and you can step outside into your yard and drink your cup of coffee while you're taking in the outside. I guess you can do that on Brickell on your balcony, but you might hear the horns honking already early in the morning. It's just more peaceful, more calm, feels more neighborhoody, gives you a different way of living. Now that kind of move also has financial implications. So what does it mean to move from Brickell to Coral Gables financially? Here are the things. You're used to paying a condo fee. The condo fee covers your insurance and it might cover certain utility bills, and you don't really have that much to worry about. Well, moving to a home, you don't have to pay that monthly condo fee, but you do have to pay for insurance and home maintenance. So whereas you were never having to worry about your roof before, now you have to worry about taking care of a roof. It's its whole thing. You need to think about, maintenance. I guess there's always maintenance in a condo, but home maintenance is different. You have a yard, you have a roof, you might have a swimming pool, things that you're not used to paying for. So you do need to think about that when you budget for this kind of a move. And then appreciation feels a little bit different. So in a building, you're compared to all of the units that surround you. And there are sometimes a ceiling at which a unit could sell for, despite how nice it is, based on the other units in the building that are selling. That's sort of similar to a home, but in a home, it's different because there is more room for greater appreciation because you're not only comparing yourself to the other 2-bedroom, 2-bath unit with the same square footage. There's a little bit more nuance to the pricing of properties, which gives you a little bit more room for appreciation. So who are the types of people that thrive with this migration from Brickell to Coral Gables? Well, I think we've covered it. It's people that feel like it's time to slow down the pace. Maybe it's time to start a family. Maybe it's time to just buy your first house and transition from condo life to house life. It's people who value privacy and want a little bit more room to breathe than before. And it's somebody that values long-term living. Moving to Coral Gables will allow you to be in a place for a long time, and buying a home allows you to grow with that home over time, do an addition if you want, renovate the house to your liking, and you could be there for many years. Now, should you stay in Brickell? If nightlife is really what you want and you love having that excitement around you all the time, or you love the walkability and you don't want to have to be in your car all the time, or maintenance-free living matters to you, then I would suggest not making a move to Coral Gables because the move comes with all of those changes. I've helped so many people make this move at this time of their lives, which is such a pivotal time. Changing from the condo on Brickell to the home in Coral Gables is fun and exciting, and there's a lot of variables that come into play depending upon what the buyers want. If you're thinking about making this move, I have so much information I can share about Coral Gables, and I would be happy to do so. I am Lindley Cherobia, your Coral Gables and South Miami real estate agent, and I'd be happy to help answer the next set of questions you have as you consider this change in location.